Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome inside the Fan Cave. Bob Pompeani here, manning the controls at 412-575-2600. That's the number to call. Hit me up on Twitter at KDPomp or Andrew Fillipponi at the Pony Express. He's up at 93.7 The Fan as we talk about two items of business tonight. The Pirates played Paul Skenes' debut, and in front of a crowd that might have been the same size as his ninth grade game that he went to way back when. Not many people there. Andrew, I know you happen to be one of them over there. I decided to go with Jared Barton up to the Penguins game. I wanted to get a look at Connor Bedard. That was a better result as the Penguins won 5-0, but the Pirates lose, and Skenes is now 0-3 against the Cardinals. Go figure.
And his worst game, I'm going to say some of it was cold weather related. Some guys just can't get a feel for the ball. Afterwards, Paul talked about how he's not going to read too much into it. It's only one game. The one thing I will say that I wonder about with him, and look, I think he's still going to go down as one of the greatest pitchers of all time. I believe for his time in Pittsburgh, his run, whatever it is, 4 or 5 years, will be the best we've ever seen from a Pirates pitcher for that number of years or that amount of time. However, Bob, I do wonder right now if he's throwing too many pitches. This whole, and I don't mean number as in like 90 pitches or 100 in a game. I mean the amount of pitches in his repertoire or arsenal. The two-seam fastball, the new kind of splinker, not the splinker, but the slurve that he's got going. He's added these pitches, and look, if they're not as good as his top three, I almost feel like you're doing these hitters a favor by adding in pitches that right now are not quite as refined or not quite as good. Now, maybe in the long run, it will make him a better pitcher. But for right now, I do think it's possible. It's made it easier on these hitters because, even in the game he pitched in Tampa, Bob, I thought guys made more contact than I'm used to seeing against Skenes early in his great career.
Yeah, that's an interesting point you bring up. Maybe he is doing that, and maybe he'll, settle down in terms of how many of those new pitches he uses as time goes on and realize, his stuff, by and large, just the two basic pitches are good enough to get guys out. We'll see, but it's only one night.
Bobby, you're right. You were right. No one was there. I looked it up. There was a Pitt-Miami basketball game at the Pete that had more people this year. And Miami was the worst team in the ACC, and Pitt obviously did not have a good year. There were fewer than 9,000 people. That was the announced attendance. It was probably half of that there for Paul Skenes. And then the other thing, the bricks now. The Bucko Bricks.
Yeah, Chris Hoffman at our station did a very good job.
What a great job.
Yes, he
did. To find that scrap yard or junk yard or whatever that was. And I guess I did not really think it through. The sentimental value that those bricks had to so many people, where it was like in memorial, or you got one for maybe a diehard Pirates fan who had passed away. It was a way of going to games, and you'd go find that brick, and you'd have a moment or share a moment with it and think back on either your dad or your mom or your grandparent or something like that. So kind of got flooded with those messages today. And it sounds like another oversight on the Pirates' part. Now, they say in that piece that we watched with Chris that they're going to find another way to remember these people and keep that memory going. But the communication on how they're going to do that has not exactly gone the way that fans like it or want it to.
The other thing is they paid between $7,500 and I think $125 for that brick to honor a family member or a friend.
$7,500?
No, $75 or $75 or $125.
I was going to say, if I paid almost $8,000, I'd be pretty hacked off too if they just threw that brick in the garbage.
I don't know how many they had there, but there were a lot of them, and people take that stuff very seriously, and they should. They helped. They certainly. I think there were 10,000 of those bricks. So yeah,
Did you have a brick?
No, I don't have a brick. And if I did, I'd be looking for it. Where is it? I want to know, and I think a lot of people can understand that. Real quick, Penguins tonight. We got a shout out here from Tristan Jarry. I think if they're trying to make him seem better than he is in terms of a trade potential, they're working on that. He's done, fairly well, give or take a game or two here. But tonight, Chicago, they got some young talent, but they're completely disorganized watching them play, although they were better the other night in Chicago. But what we did see is some young guys. McGroarty's playing a lot more. They're trying to figure out where. Ville Koivunen, I thought, was outstanding tonight in some of the passes he made, specifically the one to Erik Karlsson on his 200th career goal. But, man, if they need to find out more from younger players, and if anything, being eliminated from the playoffs as early as they have gives them that chance.
Yeah, I'm not going to go bananas over it, though. I'd rather them play well than poorly. But remember the way the Penguins finished last year, and guys like Jack St. Ivany and Shea and Drew O'Connor played really well, and hoping that those guys would carry over into this season, even the way Nedeljkovic closed out the year. None of that was transferable. They went back to who we thought they were or what they used to be. And it reminds me of baseball. You know, I think Jim Leyland had an old saying, the 2 times a year that lie are April and September. Don't read too much into April. Don't go crazy over September baseball, especially when you're out of the mix and you're not in a pennant race. And I'll say that about the Penguins. I mean, there's 2 weeks to go in the season, give or take, and they're already eliminated, Bob. And you're right. They played an absolutely atrocious team tonight where you've got Connor Bedard just dying on the vine there because the Blackhawks can't surround him with the right players.
And that's the lesson. Sometimes it takes a while. Look at teams like Detroit. Finally, they're getting back.
And how did Montreal move ahead of the Penguins, Bob? How did that happen?
Well, because they made good on some of their.
Louis, why is he not the shoo-in to be the Jack Adams Award winner with the job he's done there this season?
Well, I think there are a lot of good candidates. We're up against the break, so I got to take it. But I will say that they've done some pretty good job in developing players quickly, and they've done it right in front of our eyes. And Montreal suddenly is a team that has to be reckoned with. But sometimes it takes longer than that. We saw it with Detroit. We saw Chicago. There are other teams that fall into that category, and when you do, it takes a while to get. Look at San Jose. Look at Nashville. They're trying to reconstruct things. It's hard to do. We'll see what happens. But I'm glad to see younger guys in there. At least you get a little bit of an idea of what they can do. We got to take a break here, Andrew. Open up the phone lines at 412-575-2600. It's next. We're live on KDKA Plus and 93.7 The Fan. This is our tweet of the night, brought to you by Xfinity Mobile. The Masters put this out, the Champions Dinner tonight. Past champions who are alive and capable of being there were there. Tiger Woods, a notable exception. He's gone through, obviously, a lot with an Achilles problem, so that probably prevented him from being there. But you see in the middle, it's Scotty Scheffler's night. He had a pretty interesting menu of food, and I'm sure that was a great time by everyone.
Then you got two-time winner Ben Crenshaw sitting right next to him. Ben Crenshaw, a great Texan, just like Scheffler. And I've looked at that picture probably 4 or 5 times, Bob. I can't believe how big Nick Faldo's head is. It is just gigantic. I'd hate to have to find him a fitted Pirates cap or something. I don't know if you noticed that too, but he's got to be at least a size 8. He's a back-to-back champ at the Masters. He won 2 years in a row. And then, of course, when Greg Norman, the Shark, absolutely choked like no other golfer in the history of that tournament, the way he just unraveled on that back 9, Bob. Was just
he had a 6-shot lead, and the 6-shot lead evaporated very quickly. Also, Raymond Floyd was in there. He has a pretty big head, too. He was sitting to the left of Jack Nicklaus.
Well.
Yeah. Anyway, that's getting on this week. That's going to be fun to watch. The par 3 competition is tomorrow.
And who's your pick, Bob?
Ludwig Aubert. I really like that young kid. I think he's, there's so many good kids to pick, really.
I tried to steal your thunder on the showdown and say Oberg, even though I don't think he's going to win. I want to change my pick because I said Morikawa. I don't like this whole media tit-for-tat thing he's doing. What's going on with that? He's making such a big deal out of getting asked questions following rounds. Who does he think he is, the King of England, where he shouldn't get asked questions about how he golfed? I've never heard that in my entire life. Yeah. Why is he so thin-skinned about it?
I don't know.
It's bizarre.
I didn't think he was like that, but apparently he is like that. So we'll see if that affects how he plays and if he gets annoyed after, let's say he posts a good first round. Guess what? People are going to come after you and they want to hear from you. So anyway, let's get to the phone lines, Andrew. Got a lot of people on the lines beginning tonight with our number 1 Cochrane Go One Better caller of the night, Jerry in Franklin. He joins us on line 1. Hello, Jerry. How are you?
Hey, Bob. Hey, Andrew. Hey, I'm one of those big-headed guys, too. It's just something we're cursed with. Hey, I think the Pirates may be gone about this all wrong. They ought to flip their slogans and things. I thought of a good one. Pittsburgh Pirates, giving mediocrity a bad name since 1993. Or come to the ballpark and see how we're going to lose it tonight. Or are we worse than the 1961 Mets? And make this thing what it really is, which is kind of a joke.
Well, I mean, obviously, what they've done with some of these other things like the Clemente signage on the wall, which has been restored, which the brick thing is just, those are oversights and PR nightmares. And they've seemingly have these things happen to them more than most teams. And when you're losing the way they're losing, that's the last thing you want to do. But as far as their performance, you know, once again, last night was an exception. We saw 8 runs. Tonight, you know, Sonny Gray's a veteran pitcher. He knows what he's doing, and he did a pretty good job over 5 innings. And they just, you know, trying to find consistent offense is very difficult for this team.
I actually think if Skenes was on his game, they scored enough runs to win tonight, which usually doesn't happen against St. Louis. He usually gives up no runs or 1 run and finds a way to lose or get a no decision. So in that respect, it was really the worst start of his major league career, and it's the first time maybe I've ever said Paul Skenes was the reason why the Pirates lost the game. But overall, Bob, I mean, to the disgruntled behavior of the fans, which is, you know, richly deserved. Tommy Pham again. The guy's 4 for 37. I know he walked off the Yankees, but 4 for 37. The guy is so cold at the game tonight. He's wearing a batting glove on his throwing hand. I've never seen that in my entire life. He played the field with a batting glove on his throwing hand, like just to keep warm. It was so unusual. And then Jack Sawinski hit leadoff. I can't think of a worse leadoff hitter because he's basically an automatic strikeout every time he comes up. You know,
Yeah,
I
they
think about
also-
Omar Moreno.
How many
you
times-
think that there's any comparison there? You want some speed and a guy that can get on base, not an automatic strikeout.
Well, this is why I want to see guys like Nick York get a chance here. You mentioned Pham,
He's hurt
4
right
for 37.
now, but yes.
Well, any of those guys. It doesn't matter when they're healthy, get them up here. I mean,
How
what are
about
we doing?
Canario? Let's get Canario in the lineup. Let's see if his power works here. Not Tommy Pham, 37 years old.
And 4 for 37, as you say. It's just not good stuff at all. I don't know how many different lineups. I think it's now 11 or 12 different lineups already. We're only a week and a half into the season. So, you know, they have no consistent idea of who's doing what. And when you don't have roles, I often cite the Atlanta Braves as a team that I admire because their lineup is pretty much the same every single night. And you have guys who know their roles, where they hit, where they play. And the bench guys are for just that. You know, give a guy a rest here and there, come in late in the game, whatever the case. But the Pirates have too many bench guys who are regular guys and vice versa.
And we got Exxon Valdez, or whatever the heck the guy's name is, at first base. Who is that? Who is that guy, Bob? I mean,
Of all the
I've got
people,
no idea.
If you would have told me that guy was at first base at any point in the season, I would have said, who is he? You're right. Because they had about 3 other candidates going in for that. So they continue to look for first baseman. Let's go to Cliff in Washington. Cliff, how are you tonight?
Hey, I'm doing great, guys. I hope the ownership of the Pirates took a picture of the stands tonight, because I hope it stays that way until they start getting players in there the people want to come and play and see. We got a better team over here in Washington called the Wild Things that probably beat the Pirates right now. And how come they ain't hauling for the head of the Penguins coach? He ain't winning nothing, but they tried to get Tomlin out of there when he was a winning season for 19 years.
All right, Cliff. Well, it's funny that today we saw Michael Malone, who's I watch a lot of the NBA. Andrew, I know you do too. I looked at that situation, and at first I was stunned. I was stunned when I saw Memphis fire their coach a few weeks ago because I thought they were playing pretty well. Denver just won a championship 2 years ago, and last year they went to the second round of the playoffs before they got eliminated. But, you know, that's a lot of basketball in 2 years. And this year, I think they're overall 4th right now in the NBA West, which is there's nothing wrong with that. It's a very competitive conference. I was a little surprised given, you know, what they've done. I realize they've been in a slump lately, but it seemed weird to me that they would get rid of their coach 5 days before the end of the regular season.
Sullivan, I think, got the right people to take over the team once Mario left. Their Boston guys. He's a Boston guy. He's won 2 Stanley Cups. He played in Boston in college. He played in Boston in the NHL. He coached there before he came here. He's synonymous now with USA Hockey, which is obviously, you know, a big recognition, a big feather in his cap that he coached the team at the Four Nations, and he's going to be involved in the Olympics. So I don't think that the Penguins want that dubious distinction of firing a guy who's going to be behind the bench for the United States team at the Olympics in Italy. But, I mean, the caller's right in that there's a double standard. It's from what I can see. Mike Tomlin, rightfully so, gets criticized for the way things have gone since 2016. And Mike Sullivan should have to deal with the same criticism for the way things have gone for the Penguins since 2018. Now, he's got double the championships, But the results haven't been as good as Tomlin over the last few years for Mike Sullivan. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where I come down on that one, Bob. And I completely forgot he compared the Pirates to the Wild Things, and I forgot what he said before that about the Pirates.
So
I'm blanking on it.
He hopes that they saw the picture.
You're going to have a bobblehead at the Wild Things. I can't wait for that. I hope I get one for free.
Well, I hope I can give you one for free. It depends on how many they have and who's going to show up. I hope people show up. Anyway, we're due for a break here, Andrew. We got Chuck and we got Joe on the line. We'll come back with more calls right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Ken Rice is manning the anchor desk, getting set for tonight's 11 o'clock news on KDKA. Ken?
Hey, Bob, coming up tonight, why the mayor of Clareton is clashing with the challenger for that job, plus the man accused of stealing a man's beloved dog extradited back to Pennsylvania. And KDK finds those lost Bucko bricks from PNC Park at the dump. All coming up right here at 11, Bob. See you in a few.
All right. Thanks very much, Ken. Good reporting there by Chris Hoffman. See more of that at 11. I got Ryan Zedek on Twitter. Says, hopefully the Penguins aren't tricked by Jari's late season performances. He needs to do this more consistently when it matters. And I agree, too. And he hasn't been able to do that. So I think the conclusion we're all looking at is either a buyout or a trade. The question is, how much can you get for a trade? But does it have to be anything as long as somebody takes a salary or most of it?
And how do you decide? Do you buy out Jari or do you buy out Ryan Graves?
Yeah.
It's also an albatross contract around your neck. Speaking of buying, Bob, how about tickets to the Masters tomorrow going for between $6,000 and $8,000 on the secondary market? Are Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus playing in a twosome tomorrow? Or Thursday, I should say. I'm sorry, for Thursday.
You still can get
$6,000 to $8,000?
Right, but you still can get a soda for $2 and a hot dog for $1. So what's the difference? I mean, come on. Yeah, I know. $6,000 to $8,000. I'm surprised by that secondary market. I'm surprised people would pay that much. But then again, I'm not surprised when I see people.
And no Tiger.
And no Tiger. And Tiger wasn't there at the dinner tonight. And I wish Tiger, no matter what you think of him, it's always better when he's in the field for a lot of different reasons. But all right, so you're gonna amend your pick, go away from Colin Morikawa. Who are you gonna take?
Well, I'm gonna go with a stunner. I like Jon Rahm because no one's talking about Jon Rahm. People act like Jon Rahm has fallen off the face of the earth like he's in a bottomless pit. He's got like the third or fourth best odds. So I think the odds makers know something that we don't know. So I'm going to take the big Spaniard, who was inspired by Seve Ballesteros, who won Masters championships. Bob.
Also in that field
Jose
is
Maria Olazabal,
a former U.S. Open champ here in Oakmont, Angel Cabrera, who's back out of prison, and he was at the dinner tonight. We'll see how he does. That's going to do it for us, Pony. Thanks, as always. We'll see you again soon, right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Good night.